The purpose of these lessons is to show you the logic behind the most basic Chinese characters, beginning with the simplest pictograms, and later combining these elements to create more complex characters. There are only 3 characters in today's lesson, the first of 3 installments. We'll begin by reviewing 3 previous characters made up of the same basic elements. The first is composed of an open mouth hovering over a steaming bowl of rice, meaning to eat. Second tone, shi, from lesson 42. Notice the upside down mouth radical on top. The second review character is second tone, he, from lesson 87, representing what we said at the time was a container with its cover or lid. Some etymologists contend, however, that he is simply 2 mouths, one facing downward and the other facing up, still representing the idea of matching or fitting, one corresponding to the other. Today's new character is actually 2 characters that started out as one and the same pictogram. A person kneeling below a mouth descending from above. That mouth is issuing an order from heaven or other authority figure, while the kneeling person is respectfully receiving it. Later versions added another mouth radical on the left for emphasis. Eventually, that one character became 2, with different but closely related meanings. Without the mouth radical, this new character is pronounced fourth tone ling, ling. With the mouth added, it becomes fourth tone ming, ming. Actually, we've met this kneeling man element before, first in lesson 47 with the introduction of split sound character du, originally a large town or city where the ruler's ancestral temple was located, as in Shoudu, the capital city. With a high concentration of the country's population in this city, it later came to mean all or altogether, pronounced dou. Notice how the shape of the kneeling figure in dou is also found in ming. We'll begin with examples of ling, meaning an order or command that must be obeyed. 切切如令, do exactly as commanded. You'll recall that in lesson 50, I mentioned that English also uses the image of a knife in such phrases as a sharp image or a clear-cut distinction. Chinese sometimes adds the character 切 to imperatives to add sharp emphasis. 你们必须明白一呼百诺，拎出如山的道理。You must understand certain truths. A superior's word is law and must be obeyed. This is obviously a warning directed at new military recruits. Literally, the idiom 一呼百诺 translates as one shouted command. 一呼 draws a yes response, 诺 from hundreds of subordinates, 百. In other words, to have hundreds at one's beck and call. The character 诺, by the way, also means aye, yea or yes. That's why 诺言 means a promise. You've given a firm yes. Here's another example of this idiom. 他可是一呼百诺的一国之君. He's a national leader whose orders must be obeyed by all. The second idiom, 令出如山, describes an order as being as unshakable as a mountain. Together, those two idioms mean one's existence in the military depends on obeying orders without question. 法令 is a decree, law, or injunction. 此法令的目的何在？百姓不了解。What's the purpose of this decree? The people do not understand. 这个法令对汽车业会有惊人的作用。This law would have a devastating effect on the automobile industry. 对我们这行来说，这是一个可恨的法令。This is a law much hated by those in our profession. You might recall from Lesson 34 a pictogram showing a sharp thorn prying open a shell to get at the meat inside. Pronounce second tone, 则. From forcing open a shell to pluck out what's inside, the meaning is extended to demanding an answer, calling a person to account. At the time, we learned 责骂, to reproach, and 指责, to blame someone. By pairing 责 with 令, we get 责令, meaning to officially order or instruct what must be done. 当事人被责令纠正违法行为. The parties involved were instructed to amend their illegal behavior. 当事人 is the legal term for those directly involved in a lawsuit. Literally, a person in the matter. 因为银行的违法行为被责令停业. The bank was ordered to cease operations due to its illegal activities. 加拿大的大使已被责令立刻回国. The Canadian ambassador has been instructed to return to Canada immediately. To simply give an order is 下令. 我没下令，你们就等着别动. Until I give the order, you wait and don't move. 生意不景气，厂主不得不违心下令关厂. Business was sluggish, and the owner had no choice but to reluctantly order the factory closed. Another kind of order is 指令. You'll recall that 指 is actually a finger, so it means to point out, direct, or instruct what needs to be done. 电脑需要人的指令才能工作. Computers need instructions from humans in order to work. 你要完全照我们的指令行事. You are to handle this exactly according to our instructions. 要是他照着上面的指令行事，他早就完成了. Had she proceeded as directed by her supervisors, she would have finished long ago. An oral command or a password is 口令. 我们等待你的口令. We await your command. 你必须说出口令才能通行. You must say the password to gain entrance. 我们给了口令，然后警卫就开了正门. We gave the password. The guard then opened the main gate. One of the most productive uses of 令 is in a causative construction, having or making a person do something. Up to now, I've only been able to use 叫 and 使 in these situations. Now we have 令人怎么样, which often translates into an English ing participle. 他的特技真是令人吃惊。His stunts are truly astonishing. 这个想法令人心乱如麻。This thought was terribly disturbing. 这种花的香气令人想起以往。The scent of these flowers evokes memories from the past. 他的那句话真是令人百思不解。What he said was truly baffling. 我今天收到了一封令人灰心的信。I received a discouraging letter today. 我的意大利之行真令我大开眼界。My trip to Italy was a real eye-opener. 令我们吃惊的是，他把古玩全都卖了。To our surprise, he sold all the antiques. Orders and commands are usually associated with humans, those in authority. But the natural world also has its own rules according to the seasons of the year, which Chinese calls the order of the moment, 时令。时令的食品是最好吃。The tastiest food is that which is in season. 这时候的玉米最为时令。Corn is in season right now. 我们来得及赶上日本樱花的时令吗？ Will we have time to catch the cherry blossom season in Japan? As we can see in English, tourist season, football season, or holiday season, the meaning of season is not limited to just the growing season. In Chinese either. 很多国家的少子化是个时令话题。The declining birth rate is a current topic in many countries. Literally, the topic of the season. Notice the phrase 少子化, literally, the few children transformation. When something is in or out of season, Chinese uses 合 or 不合时令。今天是不合时令的下霜。Today's frost is quite unseasonable. 5月下的雨在这里是合时令。Rain during the month of May is usual for the season here. 我在山上看到了不合时令的花朵。We saw flowers on the mountain that were out of season. When something is in season or in vogue at the moment, the phrase to use is 正当时令, or its abbreviation 当令。她时尚的大衣正当时令。Her fashionable coat is in vogue at the moment. 当令的玉米最可口，最好吃。When in season, corn is really delicious. In lesson 78, we learned that Tang was a raised foundation of earth and stones upon which a huge temple was built for ancestor worship, especially one's paternal ancestors. The phonetic shang also provided the idea of high and greatly esteemed. From there, Tang came to indicate cousins having the same grandfather or great-grandfather, because they belonged to the same paternal clan. One example we've seen so far is Tang Ge. Later, the meaning of this grand temple, Tang, expanded to include the main room of a house, or a hall, or a room for a specific purpose. In olden times, one specific room for the mother of the family was designated the 内堂, or inner hall. And now finally, since today's character 令 originally referred to an order issued from heaven, it carries an extra connotation of good or excellent, an inherent characteristic of any divine instruction. So, 令 is also a polite reference to someone's relatives, especially their mother or father. 家母 refers to one's own mother when speaking to outsiders. And now we have the polite phrase 令堂 for your mother, literally, the good woman dwelling in the inner hall. 通过您向令堂问候. Give my regards to your mother. Literally, through you to your good mother, my inquiry. 我收到了讣文才知道令堂去世了. I didn't know your mother had passed away until I received the obituary notice. 请令堂做主，想要在哪家餐厅过生日? Have your mother decide at which restaurant she'd like to celebrate her birthday. Now we can move on to that other variation of 令, pronounced 命, the two of which are often combined into 命令 to mean order or command, either as a noun or a verb. An imperative sentence is rendered as 命令句. 警员命令车主把车移开. The officer ordered the owner to move his car. 你们要照我的命令行事. You must handle this according to my orders. 你这样不行，是违反命令的. You cannot do that. It's in violation of orders. 你用命令的口气，使人不想合作. Your commanding tone makes people unwilling to cooperate. As we've seen before, both 等 and 待 mean to wait. So, 等待命令, or simply 待命, translate as awaiting instructions or to be on standby. 大家都已就位待命中. Everyone is in position and ready. Literally, they're in the middle of awaiting orders. Adding 中 is similar to adding ing to a verb in English. 警员、警车都在待命中. Police officers and their cars are on standby. 你这几天需要待命工作吗? Do you need to be on call for work these next few days? 机枪手已就位，等待命令开火. The machine gunners were in position, waiting for the order to fire. To obey an order or follow a command is 听命. 侍者听命，给主人拿了盒子过来. The attendant did as told and brought the boxes to the owner. 要如何使家里的狗狗听命? How to make your doggy obey commands. This could be the title of a video on the internet. An interesting side note about pronunciation here. In English, we often change a noun into a diminutive form by adding ie or y on the end. For example, changing Thomas into Tommy or Jennifer into Jenny. Examples of animals would be doggy and kitty for a dog and cat. Catty, of course, being reserved for another meaning altogether. Even family relationships do this with words like mommy and daddy. So, how do they do it in Mandarin? We've seen that close family relationships are often repeated characters with the second one unstressed. 妈妈、爸爸、哥哥、叔叔、婆婆. Another way to make these words sound cuter in familiar speech is to change the tones completely. Sometimes, but not in every case, by saying the first character in third tone followed by a rising second tone. For instance, 妈妈、爸爸、哥哥、叔叔, and today's example for doggy, go go. This is very common in Taiwan, especially when speaking to children. There is no worry about being misunderstood for the simple reason that the characters are doubled and are limited to speech among family members and children, or when cuteness is intended, as in the example about those fur babies above. Somewhat like the English tum-tum for tummy, and the mocking use of "Did I hurt your fee-fees?" for "Did I hurt your feelings?" Now let's get back to other uses of today's character ming. We learned in lesson 33 that 时 is composed of the person radical plus a right hand holding an ornate staff, indicating that this person was an emissary of the king, conveying and enforcing royal proclamations among the general public. By combining 时 with 命, we get the phrase for one's mission or assignment, 使命, literally enforcing an order, regardless of whether that order is issued from above or comes from oneself. 我是为使命特地来的. I'm here on a specific mission. 他已为国家完成了使命. He has fulfilled his mission to his country. 你没有完成最重大的使命. You have not completed your most important assignment. 他被派往北京，负有特别使命. She was sent to Beijing, charged with a special mission. The character 负 from lesson 34 depicts a man carrying his valuables around with him and having to protect them from thieves. From this idea, the meaning extended to carrying a load on one's back, shouldering any sort of burden. For this reason, the woman sent to Beijing was 负有, charged with, or carrying a special burden, which was her mission. A person's mission may be decided upon by oneself or by someone higher up. No one is higher up than heaven above. So, 天命 is one's destiny or fate. Literally, heaven's mission for us. 没什么好生气的，这是天命. There's nothing to get upset about. It's fate. Some people may struggle against their fate, while others simply resign themselves to it, or 认命. 木已成舟，认命吧. What's done is done. Just accept it. Literally translated, this new idiom says, the wood has already been made into a boat. In other words, what's done cannot be undone. The die is cast. It cannot be changed. This character for a boat is pronounced first tone 舟. It's rarely found alone because there are so many types of modern ships and boats, each with a different purpose from the rest. However, 周 is an important radical that will appear in many characters relating to transportation in future lessons, so we can learn to write it now. Here are more examples of 任命。那份工作不会给他，他不得不认命。The job wouldn't be offered to her, and she had to accept that. Resigning oneself to one's fate sounds a bit too much like the person is about to die. Accepting or resigning oneself to a simple fact is a more appropriate English translation. 我知道她不可能嫁给我，我也认命了。I know there's no way she would marry me. I've resigned myself to that fact. 你想出人头地，就要认命的努力工作。If you want to get ahead, get used to the fact that you must work hard for it. If one's destiny or fate is predetermined, 命 can logically refer to one's entire lifespan. And so we have two phrases in Chinese, both translated simply as life in English, 生命 and 性命. I'll try to distinguish them. As we've seen in 出生, 男生, 女生, 人生, the 生 character clearly is referring to biological life, creatures that eat, breathe, grow, and reproduce. With this shared quality in mind, 生命 would be one's physical life as a living creature. In the phrases 天性, 人性, 本性, 个性, on the other hand, all of them refer to something inborn, one's nature, including a person's spiritual, emotional, and moral inclinations. For this reason, 性命 refers to what it means to be human, with our survival instincts, emotional attachments, and desire to live. Now let's compare the examples that follow. 你差一点丢了性命. You almost lost your life. 生命 is okay here too because your biological and your inborn tendencies would both be lost either way. 机车意外使他儿子失去生命. Her son lost his life in a motorcycle accident. 性命 would also fit because it's a loss of human life and every inner quality of that life. 他的性命掌握在你的手心里. His life is in your hands. 生命 would also work here because both his biological and emotional existence would be in your hands. 若没有水，火星就不可能有生命. Without water, there can be no life on Mars. 性命 would not work here because we're talking about biological life. 你相信死后会有另一种生命吗? Do you believe in another life after death? 生命 because it's in comparison to your physical, biological existence now. 性命 would not make sense. 这小小生意几乎构成我生命的1/3. This little business takes up almost 1/3 of my life. 生命 because it occupies my daily physical life. 性命 emphasizes innate qualities, which don't apply. Now, here's an idiom meaning to try to preserve one's life at all costs. 苟全性命. You'll recall that 苟 from lesson 98 means a type of grass and implies careless disregard. When used in this expression, it means a person will go to great lengths, regardless of cost, 苟 to preserve, 全 his or her attachment to this life, 性命. 必要时为了苟全性命 人也会食人肉. When necessary, people will eat human flesh in order to survive. 两位君主之合作，主要为了苟全性命. Cooperation between the two rulers was mainly an attempt to save their own skins. When a person seemingly doesn't care about their own life and is willing to risk it, the expression is 玩命, literally to toy with one's life, as if it were a game. 我不坐你驾驶的车，我才不要玩命。I won't ride in any car you're driving. I don't want to risk my life. 你找这种玩命的工作，头脑有问题。There's something wrong with you, taking on such a life-threatening job. 从这么高的山坡滑雪下去，几乎是在玩命。Skiing down such a high mountain slope is like putting your life at stake. 你为了增加收入，成年累月的加班，是在玩命呢。You're risking your life doing overtime for years on end just to increase your income. Similar to 玩命 is the expression 不要命, meaning literally, you don't want your life. You're willing to place your life on the line for whatever fun activity you're engaged in. 你这样超速驾驶，不要命了。You'll get yourself killed speeding like that. When 不要命 drops the negative 不, we have a very common way to add emphasis to an expression. If you interpret 要命 as to want your life, it makes perfect sense because something is exacting a very high price. It's wanting your life. That may sound quite serious, but 要命 is simply an exaggeration, similar to 要死, as in 累得要死, to be exhausted, or 气得要死, to be furious. Out of superstition, some people still avoid using 死 for emphasis wherever possible, so 要命 is a more acceptable alternative. Reminds me of the once taboo British usage of bloody, which apparently has become quite innocuous in modern speech. 这真是要命的事情. What a damn nuisance. Or, what a bloody nuisance. Literally, it's about to take my life. 她走了，我心烦得要命. I'm awfully upset now that she's gone. Because I still need her for whatever reason. 他一看到蛇就怕得要命. He gets terribly afraid when he sees a snake. 真要命，雨像是不会停了. Damn it, this rain doesn't seem to ever let up. 为了搭头班车，我赶得要命. I was rushing as fast as I could to catch the first bus. 外婆讲一句话，也吃力得要命. It was extremely difficult for my grandmother to get a few words out. 今天又要开会，无聊得要命. I have another meeting today. It'll be boring as hell. 有人抢了我的停车位，我气得要命. Someone took my parking spot and I was furious. 大家急得要命，想去看闻名天下的金字塔. Everyone was terribly anxious to go see the world-famous pyramids. And finally, a reminder that at one time, Ming and Ling were one and the same character, as found in the phrase 命名, to name a person or thing, literally announcing the name from on high, to be accepted by that humble listener kneeling below. 当时的汽车是以业主的名字命名的。Cars at the time were named after the company's owners. 我们的婴儿是照叔叔的名字来命名的。Our baby is named after his uncle. Here's our color chart with today's 3 characters. 令周命 Here's a recap from today's lesson. 1. This lesson and the following 2 are based on a downward-facing mouth, hovering over a person kneeling respectfully below. Pronounced fourth tone, ling. It's a depiction of the gods in heaven, and later the authorities on earth, issuing an order to a subordinate human below. 2. With an additional mouth radical inserted on the left, today's second character, Ming, is a variant of Ling, with many, but not all, of the same connotations. 3. The only other new character in this lesson was first tone, zhou, the pictogram of a primitive boat. Zhou was introduced not only because it enters into an easy-to-understand idiom, 木已成舟, but also because it's an important radical to be discussed in a future lesson. Now you will find a short quiz on double, triple character, and longer expressions. Answer using only the characters learned so far. Thank you for watching and listening.